Hey everybody, how's it going? Like Butter here, and today I got another Division video for you, and I want to talk about something specific that has recently kind of hindered the PvP in the Dark Zone. Most of you guys know I'm a big PvP guy, so I spend most of my time just PvPing in the Dark Zone as much as I can, going rogue as much as I can, hunting rogues as much as I can, and I've noticed that recently there has been a bit of a halt in the PvP in the Dark Zone, and I want to talk about why that is. So, any of you guys who have been in the Dark Zone, you have learned that the tank meta is unbelievably overpowered right now, and I want to talk about why that is and how Massive could make some changes in order to fix this. Now, anyone who's not running the tank build is going to have a really bad time in the Dark Zone because there is no counter to the tank build. So what people are doing right now is they are building anywhere between 70 and 80,000 health and stacking 65% armor, which means you're going to mitigate 65% of the damage that is incoming to you. People are also using the rehabilitation mask. If you guys don't know what the rehabilitation mask is, there's a passive or a talent on it that basically heals you for 2% every second when you get a status effect. So that means like if you are hit by incendiary bullets and you're taking fire damage, then it's going to heal you for 2% of your health every second. However, when that procs, it continues to go on. So everyone has this extreme health regeneration that keeps coming over and over and over again. That's just non-stop health. On top of that, and the heal and using med kits, it's almost impossible to kill people who are tanks because they're ignoring so much damage. And then on top of that, you have the defensive ult. So say you get a group of four tanks, and they all have like 80,000 health, 65% armor mitigation. So what is it, 4640? I think the highest amount of armor that you can get where it stops being useless. So you have 4 of those players running those builds, and 4 of them are using the defensive ult, which, if you guys don't know, the defensive ult basically reduces the damage taken by 80% for your entire team. There is really nothing you can do unless you have the entire server going for these guys. Now, I'm talking like, if you have 2 groups of 4, you guys may be able to kind of battle it out. But most of the time, it's going to end in this gunfight that's never, ever ending. Because you got 15-second, 80%, damage reduction on top of the mitigation from the armor, so the 65% mitigation. So you're taking 140 some odd percent damage less on top of the healing from the rehabilitation mask, on top of the healing from your teammates, on top of the AoE healing from just everyone in general, on top of the med kits, on top of just strafe running and being able to just make people miss. Right now, the tank meta needs some changes, or this game is going to die PvP-wise, because it's hitting a point right now where I enjoy PvP, but when you get in against a group of 4 that all has full tank build, it's not fun because they never, ever, ever die. Now, you may say, well, why not just go DPS? Should DPS counter tank? Now, tank counters DPS. So when you're building a lot of armor, you're going to be, like I said, mitigating a certain percentage of the damage that you're taking. You're going to be taking 65% of the damage that's given to you. So the higher the glass cannon's DPS is, the more effective your armor actually is. Now, you're going to be taking more damage when they're, outputting high damage to you. However, do you see how, like, when you got crit hit damage and you got damage increase, and then you have a percentage of damage being mitigated, do you see how that's, like, DPS doesn't counter tank, but tank counters DPS? Now, the builds with like the electronics and the skill power are just weird builds. I don't think they work too much in the meta right now. And another thing that makes armor extremely overpowered is because there is no counter to armor. There is no armor. There is no armor ignorance. There is no armor penetration. There is no stat in the game that actually helps you do damage to armor. Now, I want to talk about armor damage because some people are confused about enemy armor damage or the talent on the weapons called destructive, where it says, armor destruction is increased by 18%, and then you can get plus 8% enemy armor damage. Now, I always thought that the enemy armor damage would affect players because players have armor, and that's not true. You can see through this video, you're gonna see me like kind of single shotting the pistol against NPCs. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you the different colors of points and what they mean. So when you get a blue number, a blue point indicator, it means that you're hitting an enemy's armor. When you get a white one, it just means you're doing regular damage. Red are headshots and orange are crits. So these are the different amounts or the different types of damage that you can do to an NPC. Now, when you shoot a player, which you guys will see in a little bit, I kind of just put my pistol on and I annoy these guys really bad. I'm just shooting them constantly. I'm not doing enough damage to go rogue, but eventually you'll see they get pissed off and just pop their damage all and shoot me. But you can see that enemy armor damage is only a stat against NPCs. So there's no armor ignorance, there's no armor penetration, and armor damage is only against NPCs that have the white bars above their health. Now, what you'll see is when you start shooting somebody, or start shooting an NPC, when they have their armor up, it's going to make the blue indicator. Now, if enemy armor damage affected players, you would see a blue point indicator when shooting them, but you can clearly see every time I'm shooting them here, they are giving a white hit marker, white damage indicator, and you can see right there where I shot the NPC. So there is no counter to armor stacking. Now, in theory, in RPG style games like this one, MMO style looter shooters, whatever you want to call it, there should be a counter to everything. So the counter to damage is armor. The counter to skill power or sticky bombs is, exotic damage resilience. The counter to fire grenades is fire resist. If you see, almost everything in the game has a counter except armor. Now, I don't know if they wanted to go ahead and make the game hard to PvP in. I don't know if that's what they were going with the rogue system, but I don't think this was tested properly with full statistics. And I think now that people are realizing how strong armor is, it's being built like way too much. They kill me here. They were getting pissed that I was shooting them. I was gonna turn my mic on and just tell them that I was doing it for a video, but I feel like that would give them even more of a reason to shoot me. But you guys are gonna see I spawn back in and get some revenge here. So yeah, there needs to be a counter to armor. There needs to be armor ignorance. Now, I was thinking about it, and I know it's going to be kind of difficult because the players who are under leveled, or I should say, under geared rather. Now, so like I said, some people are going to be like, well, these players are going to get melted even faster, and I think there is a way that they can do this where it will be fair for everyone. Now, I think that there should be a skill on a mask or on, knee pads or on your chest plate called armor ignorance. It should be called armor ignorance, and it should basically remove a percentage of the person's armor that you're fighting against. So if somebody wants to stack 65% armor with barely any health and go all DPS, this person can be countered by somebody who has, this armor ignorance. Every type of build should have a counter. DPS should counter a tank with the right items. A tank should counter DPS with the right items. A tank should counter someone building skill power. Everything should have a counter to each other so that as a player, you have to find a balance. There's no balance right now in the Dark Zone. Everyone's just running tank build, rehabilitation mask, and it's just very hard to PvP. And also the defensive ult. We need to talk about the defensive ult really quickly because I've been wanting to go over this for a while, and I may do a more in-depth video talking about why it's ridiculous. Now, I know some of you guys may think that the defensive ult is okay, but anyone who PvPs in the Dark Zone knows that it's just battle of the alts. Who's gonna ult first? You know, you get in this intense gunfight, and then one person ults, and then another 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 person ults. Like, I can't tell you how many 4v4 gunfights we've been in, or even more than that. Sometimes it's a group of 4 rogues that are really geared, and then you got the entire server chasing them, and you're just seeing ult here, ult there, ult there. Like, it's just unbelievable how many people. It's got to be obvious, right? No one runs the heal ultimate. Rarely do I ever see people using the damage ultimate, and the reason is because the damage ultimate actually doesn't counter the defensive ultimate, because the defensive ultimate is going to be ignoring 80% of damage taken. So if you think about it, if one person pops damage ult and someone that they're shooting pops defensive ult, the defensive ult is going to be ignoring the percentage of what the offensive ult is outputting. Therefore, the damage taken, since it's a percentage, is going to scale with however, you know, much DPS they're doing. So there's no reason to run the damage ult. Everyone is just running the defensive ult, and I think it needs to be changed. I think 80% damage reduction on top of the 65% armor mitigation that everyone's running now, on top of the healing and all of the med kits and all of the other ways to basically mitigate damage, it just becomes a little bit too much. Now, I think a good way to fix the defensive ult, and I think you guys will like this solution, even if you guys are solo players, it makes a lot of sense. I think how it should work is that it should be 80% damage reduction. However, it should be split among all players, which means if you have a team of 4 and you use the damage ult and all 4 of those players are in the AoE, then I think each player should get 20% damage reduction. Now, if you're playing solo, I think that solo player should get the full 80%. Now, the reason it doesn't make sense that everyone has like the same percentage is because people who are playing solo only have one ult. So they have 15 seconds that they can get 80% damage reduction, but a group of 4 has a minute full of 80% damage reduction because 4 of them have ults and the ults affect everyone. So I think if they had a percentage, it would make sense. So for example, if you are a group of 2, right, and you use your ult, then each of you will have 40% damage reduction. And they can keep the movement speed the same. I think it's fine, and I think it does what it should, right? I feel like the damage ult, they were kind of keeping in mind those solo players who may run into a group and get jumped unfairly and not really be able to do much about it. There's really nothing that they can do. So that damage ult, that defensive ult gives them a chance to get away. And I think this would be a really, really good way to kind of make the defensive ult nerfed. It needs a nerf. Like, they either need to do that or they need to lower the damage resist for everyone down to like 40. But then again, like I said, if you do that, it's going to screw the solo players again. So I think the best way to do it is to do 80% damage reduction split among all teammates or squad mates. I think that's the best way to fix the ult, and the same thing needs to be done for the damage ult. Same exact thing. However, I think that the damage ult needs a little bit of a buff in a way. I guess not too much of a buff, but I think that when it's split between all the players, it needs to be a little bit stronger. Maybe the crit hit damage gets raised 5% or something like that, so that when you have someone that uses defensive ult and you have, or say a group uses defensive ult and then another group with the same amount of players use offensive ult, it should be pretty even at that point. It should be fair. It should be counter to each other. And I just think that would be a really, really good way to to balance these things out and make PvP a little bit better. Now, I don't know how things are going to work with the set items coming into play and stuff, but I saw one of the set items has plus 20 armor damage. Now, it's interesting to me because that set of gear seems to be the set of gear that they were calling the PvP gear, which blows my mind because enemy armor damage only affects NPCs. So I don't really understand where they're going with that. Hopefully they make an update or a change. I think, like I said, the best way is to have it be a percentage. So say, you know, you can get a stat on your mask or something that ignores 10% of enemy armor. And this is a specific stat for other players. And what that will do is you will be doing less, you will be ignoring less armor against people who have lower armor, and you'll be ignoring more armor against players who have higher armor. And that's good because there's no way people should be able to stack armor and then basically go glass cannon and never take damage. That's stupid. They should be shredded. It's like League of Legends, for example. Now, if you build, I don't know how many of you guys play League of Legends, but I like using League of Legends as a example because it's very, very good. If you have a champion that doesn't have a lot of health but has a lot of armor, that armor is not going to do any good for you because your health pool is so small that when they do that damage, it's going to be small enough where they're going to basically bust through your armor. In order for armor to be effective, you need a lot of health and a lot of armor, and that's how I think it should be. I think these tank builds should be sacrificing, if they want to do a tank build, they need to be sacrificing DPS for health and armor, and this would fix that problem. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I believe very strongly that there needs to be some changes to PvP. Now, the rogue system was changed. I like the rogue system. They do need to fix the manhunt thing, though. I don't really know if it's bugged, but you don't see like manhunts unless you're really close to them, but you can see when people are rogues like across the map. I don't fully understand that. It doesn't pop up in the top left hand corner saying, you know, that a person is manhunt. You can't really see them on the map unless you're in range, which is weird. But I think if they fix that, the rogue system's fine the way it is now. Now that more people are PvPing, you're starting to see these problems with armor builds and DPS tank builds. Like I posted a video last week because I want to help you guys understand what the meta is, and this is just what the meta is. 80, you know, like I said, 70 to 80,000 health, armor maxed out, and then the rest just DPS, and it makes it very hard to play as a solo player. Like at this point in the dark zone, you know, if you go up against a group that is all armor stacked and all, you know, just running together, there's nothing you can do. You just sit there and you get plowed over and over and over again, and I don't think it's fair. I think if there is someone on the server that has a lot of armor ignorance, I should say, and is very geared, that if a team runs at that player and does stupid things and makes dumb mistakes, that person should be able to pick those people off one by one, and that's just not physically possible right now with the tank meta. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. If you guys have anything to add to the video, or maybe even better solutions to the things that I'm talking about. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you like the way PvP is now? Because as someone who PvPs all the time, it's either I'm shredding somebody in like 2 seconds, or I'm shooting some person for 20 minutes. Like, there's nothing less fun in the world than being in an intense gunfight just to have people, like 10 people, like use ult. And there's some times where, you know, people know how to weave back and forth, including myself, where you can just, it's so hard to hit them with how much health they have and how much armor. It's just impossible to kill people, but they'll still do damage back because of the way that the armor and health is really unbalanced. So I want to really hear what you guys have to say. Now, this is obviously a discussion video, a discussion topic. We need to figure out something for the PvP players out there, because right now, PvP is fun. I still enjoy it. However, you shouldn't have to play with an entire group of 4 to experience PvP. It shouldn't be like that. And that's what it is right now, because of these team tank builds and the 4 defensive ults and the all the heals and then like they can return damage because they're doing pulse, and they have a lot of, you know, hit crit damage and critical hit chance. But anyways, guys, that was my rant. You can see an entire group running for me here. I may leave the rest of this video for another time, but I just wanted to show you guys and prove to you guys that enemy armor damage doesn't affect players. It only affects NPCs. So we are missing a stat. We're missing a stat here. We need enemy armor ignorance or enemy armor penetration, and we need it soon, because it's hitting a point where PvP is kind of just not even a thing. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop the video a like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.